How does a man pull off the perfect, impossible crime mid-air? You sit quietly in the back of the plane. You wait for the cover of darkness. And then, at 10,000 feet, you open the aft door and step into the abyss. By the time the crew finally checks, the man in seat 18E is completely gone. The money is gone. And to this day, more than 50 years later, no one knows what happened next. This is the story of D.B. Cooper, the only unsolved airplane hijacking in American history. It's Thanksgiving Eve, 1971, Portland International Airport, 2:50 p.m. A man walks up to the Northwest Orient Airlines counter. No luggage, no return ticket. He pays cash, gives a name, Dan Cooper, and disappears into the crowd like he'd been doing this his whole life. He boards Flight 305, finds his seat, middle of the last row, right side, seat 18E. He orders a bourbon and soda, lights a cigarette, just another businessman on a short hop to Seattle, or so everyone thinks. Shortly after takeoff, he turns to flight attendant Florence Schaffner and hands her an envelope. She assumes it's a phone number. Men did that back then. She tucks it into her pocket without reading it. He leans over and says quietly, "Miss, you'd better look at that note." She reads it. Her face goes pale. The handwritten message says, "I have a bomb." She sits down beside him. He opens his briefcase just a crack and shows her a red sticks and tangled wires. She doesn't argue. She doesn't scream. Cooper's demands are shockingly simple. $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, a fuel truck in Seattle, and nobody does anything stupid. What happens next is a masterclass in calm. While federal agents scramble on the ground, Cooper sits in his seat, sipping his drink, completely composed. Flight attendant Tina Mucklow stays by his side, relaying messages between Cooper and the cockpit. At 5:45 p.m., 2 hours past the scheduled arrival, Flight 305 touches down in Seattle. It's dark now. The plane parks in a remote part of the tarmac. A bank courier arrives with 10,000 $20 bills. A skydiving school owner shows up with 4 parachutes. Cooper inspects everything. Then, and this is where it gets interesting, he lets all 36 passengers go free. Most of them don't even realize they'd been on a hijacked plane. Only the crew remains. Cooper tells the captain, Mexico City, gear down, flaps at 15, below 10,000 feet, cabin lights off, and keep that rear staircase ready. At 7:36 p.m., Flight 305 takes off again, heading south, into a storm, and somewhere in the darkness over the forests of Washington State, D.B. Cooper puts on a parachute. Here's what we know about the moment Cooper jumped. At around 8:05 p.m., the crew uses the intercom to check on him. He declines their offer of help. That's the last anyone hears from him. Within the next 10 minutes, the crew feels it, a strange vibration, an oscillation through the whole plane, like something had disturbed the airflow beneath the fuselage. Later, a full recreation of the flight confirmed what they suspected. That was the moment Cooper jumped. The rear staircase was extended. The door to the night sky was open. Outside, a frigid rainstorm, 170-knot winds, total darkness, and forests as far as the eye couldn't see. Cooper stepped off a commercial airliner somewhere around 40 kilometers north of Portland. He was wearing loafers, a business suit, a thin trench coat. The wind outside was so violent it ripped a metal placard clean off the staircase. That same placard was found in 1978, almost directly below the estimated flight path. 3 hours later, Flight 305 lands safely in Reno. The crew slowly walks to the back of the plane. No Cooper, no bomb. 2 of the 4 parachutes are missing. The aft staircase is slightly damaged from being dragged during landing. The FBI descends on the aircraft and finds just 3 things left behind: a black clip-on tie, 8 cigarette butts, and 2 unused parachutes. Cooper was gone, and somewhere out there in the dark, wet wilderness of the Pacific Northwest, so was $200,000. At dawn, one of the largest manhunts in Pacific Northwest history begins. Helicopters, planes, ground troops, FBI agents comb the dense mountainous wilderness. The problem, even if they had the right general area, which wasn't guaranteed, the actual landing zone could be anywhere within a massive stretch of forest and mountains. Finding D.B. Cooper would be like finding a single specific leaf in the Amazon rainforest. The search is hampered by freezing temperatures, persistent rain, and terrain so rugged it's barely accessible on foot. They find nothing. Weeks pass, then months, then years. The FBI names the case NORJAC, Northwest Hijacking. They interview hundreds of witnesses, chase thousands of leads, and build files on more than 800 suspects. Every single one of them is eliminated. But here's the thing about D.B. Cooper that made this investigation so maddening. He left almost nothing behind. No fingerprints, no clear face, no traceable identity. The name Dan Cooper was almost certainly fake. The FBI does have one more tool: the money. The serial numbers of all 10,000 bills had been recorded before the ransom was handed over. Banks, government agencies, and newspapers were all given the list. Find a matching bill, win a reward. But for nearly a decade, not one matching bill ever surfaces. February 1980. A family is camping on a small sandy beach called Tina Bar along the Columbia River in southern Washington. An 8-year-old boy named Brian Ingram is digging into the sand to build a campfire when he unearths something strange. 3 bundles of cash, badly rotted, bound by rubber bands. His parents recognize what they might be. The FBI confirms it. The serial numbers are a match. $5,800 of D.B. Cooper's ransom, just sitting in the mud. And this discovery, rather than solving anything, opens a whole new mystery. How did the money get there? The Columbia River flows in the wrong direction to have carried it from the presumed drop zone. For 3 separate bundles to independently travel, float, or fall to the exact same spot on the same beach defies probability. Even stranger, analysis of the rubber bands revealed they couldn't survive exposure to open air or water for more than a year, meaning the money had to be buried relatively quickly after the hijacking. Then in 2020, scientists analyzed microscopic algae called diatoms found on the bills. These diatoms only bloom in spring. The conclusion: the money entered the water several months after the November 1971 hijacking. So what does that mean? It might mean the money was deliberately placed there, buried by Cooper himself, or by someone who found what was left of him. It might mean Cooper survived, walked out of those woods, and quietly went back to his life. Or it might mean the money got there by some natural explanation that no one has figured out in over 50 years. To date, that's the only ransom money ever found. Brian Ingram, by the way, got to keep some of it. In 2008, he sold 15 of the deteriorated bills at auction for over $37,000. Let's be honest with Cooper's odds. He jumped into the dark, into a rainstorm over dense Pacific Northwest wilderness. No helmet, no jumpsuit, no boots, no idea of his exact location. The parachute he chose couldn't be steered, meaning he had zero control over where he'd land. Not only that, but investigators later discovered that one of the two parachutes he took with him was a dummy chute, a non-functional training prop with its canopy sewn shut. It was never meant to be used. Cooper apparently never noticed. He grabbed it anyway. If he used the functional chute and not the dummy one, he may have survived the fall, but then what? He'd have landed somewhere in a dense, partially snow-covered forest in late November in a business suit with loafers on his feet, carrying a bag of cash. On the other hand, and this is the part that sticks, no body was ever found, no clothing, no parachute, no trace. And no missing persons report matching his description was ever filed after the hijacking. The FBI's own retired agent, Larry Carr, believes Cooper didn't survive, but he also says he's not certain because certainty is impossible when there's no body. There's also this: other hijackers have performed similar jumps and survived. It's dangerous, but it's been done. And then there's the money at Tina Bar. Human hands almost certainly put it there. As terrifying as the odds were, someone may have walked out of those woods. Over the decades, more than 800 suspects have been investigated. Thousands of tips, dozens of books, multiple TV series, and still no confirmed answer. But let's look at the most compelling candidates. Robert Rackstraw, first suspected in 1978, Army paratrooper, helicopter pilot, explosives expert, criminal record as long as your arm, including grand theft, $75,000 in bad checks, and allegations he murdered his own stepfather. He faked his own death by radioing a false mayday from a plane. When journalists asked him directly if he was D.B. Cooper, he'd smile and say, "I could have been." Compelling. But he was only 28 in 1971, well below the mid-40s estimate, and his eyes were the wrong color. Kenneth Christensen, a former Northwest Airlines flight attendant and paratrooper, 45 years old in 1971. Left-handed, just like Cooper appeared to be, based on how he interacted with his briefcase and how his tie clip was positioned. When Christensen was dying in 1994, he told his brother, "There's something you should know, but I can't tell you." After he passed, his family found over $200,000 in his bank accounts. Florence Schaffner, the flight attendant who first received Cooper's note, said photos of Christensen bore a strong resemblance to the hijacker. But he was shorter and lighter than described, and the money was traceable. He'd sold land. Richard McCoy. Only 5 months after D.B. Cooper vanished, Richard McCoy hijacked a different Boeing 727 and parachuted off the rear staircase with $500,000. Almost identical playbook. He even used the phrase, "no funny stuff," the same phrase Cooper used. McCoy was a Vietnam vet, demolition expert, and helicopter pilot. He was caught 2 days later, sentenced to 45 years, killed in 1974 while escaping prison. Before he died, he refused to confirm or deny whether he was Cooper. The FBI officially ruled him out. He was home in Utah for Thanksgiving dinner the day of the Cooper hijacking, and all 3 flight attendants said he wasn't their man. But here's the plot twist. In 2022, McCoy's own children came forward. They gave the FBI a modified parachute, a harness, and a skydiving logbook found on the family property in North Carolina. The logbook appears to place their father at locations connected to both hijackings. The FBI seized the evidence and conducted a 4-hour search of the property. This development prompted the FBI to officially review the cold case file after years of inactivity. The parachute has been described by investigators as literally 1 in a billion due to its unique modifications. Testing is ongoing. Dwayne Weber. In 1995, on his deathbed, Dwayne Weber reportedly told his wife, "I've got a secret to tell you. I am Dan Cooper." His widow later remembered eerie details: a bank bag resembling the ransom bag, a knee injury he said came from jumping out of a plane, nightmares about leaving fingerprints on the aft stairs, and a trip he took to Tina Bar, the beach where the money was found, a full year before Brian Ingram discovered it. Weber matched the physical description. He was 47 in 1971, World War II veteran, criminal record. But his fingerprints and DNA didn't match anything recovered from the plane, though, as investigators note, there's no way to be certain any of that evidence actually came from Cooper and not another passenger. Here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. Cooper left his clip-on tie on seat 18E. Scientists examined it under an electron microscope and found over 100,000 microscopic particles embedded in the fabric. Among them, rare particles of pure titanium, a material that was extraordinarily uncommon in 1971. A newly identified particle found on Cooper's tie fortifies his links to a specialist metals plant in Pittsburgh. Investigator Eric Eulis believes the titanium traces point to Crucible Steel, a Pittsburgh company that held patents for that exact type of titanium and was also a significant Boeing subcontractor. Workers there regularly traveled to Seattle. Eulis's prime person of interest, a titanium research engineer named Vince Peterson, who died in 2002, but who Eulis says he can place in Seattle and at Boeing during the relevant period. The tie is currently locked away at FBI headquarters. Eulis sued the FBI for access to test a metal spindle inside the tie clasp, which may still contain preserved DNA. The suit was dismissed. The tie remains sealed. In 2016, the FBI officially closed the D.B. Cooper case, the only unsolved hijacking in U.S. aviation history. But closed doesn't mean solved. Cooper's jump changed aviation forever. The FAA ordered that all Boeing 727s be retrofitted with a small latch on the rear staircase, now known as a Cooper vane, to prevent anyone from ever opening it mid-flight again. He inspired dozens of books, films, and documentaries. He became a kind of outlaw folk hero, the guy who stole from the establishment, leaped into the void, and was never seen again. But strip away the romance, and here's what you're left with: a man nobody can identify, a crime nobody can solve, a body nobody ever found, and $194,200 that's still out there somewhere. Did D.B. Cooper survive? Nobody knows. Will we ever know? Maybe. Every few years, a new piece of evidence surfaces: a parachute in North Carolina, a titanium particle in a tie, a diatom blooming on a waterlogged bill. The forest keeps its secrets, but it doesn't keep them forever. Somewhere out there, in an old house, a forgotten storage shed, or buried beneath a riverbank, the answer might still exist. And until it's found, the legend of D.B. Cooper will never die.